Welcome, everyone. I am really excited to kick off this presentation on using change management to establish and really adopt an enterprise GIS. The Montana DEQ continues to take this journey, and I'm thrilled for my awesome colleague, Stephen, to tell their story. And really, that story begins with the need to digitally transform their agency. So whether streamlining core business operations to improving internal and external collaboration, to the data-driven decisions supporting critical programs, which as the state DEQ, serve to protect the land, air, and water quality across Montana. I actually first met Stephen at our annual users conference in 2018, and the first thing he told me was his goal was digital transformation for DEQ. However, it wasn't just about providing technology. It was about what the business needed to serve those critical functions that I just mentioned. Stephen also illustrated this by telling me stories of permitting decisions being made, resulting in sometimes severe environmental consequences due to not having the right authoritative content available in the right way at the right time. These examples are, of course, hugely impactful for the DEQ and for Montana's environment in general, and underscore the critical role that technology really needs to be filling. Digital transformation is a huge trend that we see across the country, and one where the DEQ decided from a technology standpoint that ArcGIS Enterprise could meet many of their needs. And so shortly after that users conference, they made the decision to go all in on ArcGIS Enterprise. They had assessed their business needs and recognized that this foundational platform, along with the various server-based capabilities that align with it, would actually meet those needs. We aren't going to get into the technical architecture details here in this presentation, but this platform has also enabled and delivered solutions that they needed to address that authoritative data management that I alluded to earlier, distributing GIS mapping and visualization capabilities across their department, enabling programs to leverage critical location-based content, and even conduct more advanced analysis supporting their data-driven decisions around those permits that I mentioned earlier and many other critical needs. So awesome, right? They have the technology platform to do everything that the business needs. They've built it, and now everybody will come and use it, right? Well, I think we can all agree it's never that simple, and there needs to be a focus on bringing the organization along with it and the change that this enabling technology brings with it. Stephen recognized this early on, and it really goes to the notion of a geospatial strategy. And really effective strategies connect an understanding of business needs with the right people, processes, and technology to plan and act on a technology roadmap, which helps to, of course, overcome challenges and improve results, and really enable that digital transformation that we're talking about here. DEQ recognized early that all three, people, process, and technology, needed to be addressed in order for the platform technology I showed a minute ago to be truly adopted. And the approach they took integrated change management processes into their implementation strategy from the beginning. So the idea behind change management is that technology growth, like deploying ArcGIS Enterprise, impacts the whole organization. So how business gets done, how workflows are handled, the insights the organization has access to, and so on. And so change management focuses on the people side of the change and ensuring the organization is involved and is ready for the change, which also actually includes the establishment of the right governance to support them and their processes in the right way. It's also about ensuring that the right staff are involved, from leadership to supervisors and managers who need to have an awareness of the change and why it's happening, of course, but who also can advocate for it with the various individuals across the organization. And actually, change management is a structured process that, when integrated, especially from the beginning, will help ensure the success of technology adoption. The process consists of a series of activities that are implemented at the right time. So whether you're preparing for the change, whether you're implementing and managing the change as it happens, or whether you're reinforcing it as you move forward. This ensures that the entire organization is in sync and is ready to adapt with the change. Now, like I said, it's ideal to start from the beginning, but the reality is you may already be partly down the road with initiatives like ArcGIS Enterprise deployments and other impactful projects. In those situations, it's never too late. You can take advantage of this process and the activities at any time during the life cycle. And we do have change management consultants here at Esri who can take this entire journey with you. And of course, there's various options within that too to help guide you through these processes. So with that context, we're now going to transition over to Stephen, who's going to tell you the story of their journey of establishing an enterprise GIS with this integrated change management approach and all the awesome benefits that's yielded for them. So Stephen, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Mike. I always love hearing Jack's vision on what's coming next. And I always love to hear about all the wonderful things people are doing with GIS that they share at these conferences. But if you're like me, there's always that question, that twinge of doubt in the back of your head. Can I really do this? Is this possible? I'm here to tell you today that it is possible. Great things are possible, and any of you can do them, because if Montana DEQ can pull it off, then anyone can pull it off. Let's take a step back. CIOs are really headache factories. We traditionally implement technology that either no one uses or they don't use properly, and then we get blamed when things don't work the way people want them to. But when we step into a different role, when we become change agents rather than just technological implementers, things change around us and we can become agents who say yes to an information-centric organization. That's what happened at Montana DEQ. We had a vision of going from a transactional agency to one driven by information and the power that information had to protect the environment. Now, I know a lot of you are already saying, wow, is it really possible? Well, let me do some level setting for you. Montana is the only state that guarantees its citizens the right to a clean and healthful environment. Montana DEQ is charged with protecting that right, with a mission to protect and enhance the environment for this and future generations. Now, we're a pretty small agency. We got 93 million total in our budget for all of our cleanup projects and all of our permitting. Our total population of our agency is just around 400. And when we began this, only about 50 of them actually used the GIS system, a 10-year-old system that wasn't the strongest one. And we have a really big remit. Montana is a big state. It runs all the way from Washington, D.C. to Chicago. And yet that size has just over 1 million people. So when we're dealing with Montana DEQ, we're dealing with an agency that has a big remit, a big area, not very many people, and not a lot of resources. We need to use the power of information and the technology that allows us to leverage that information. But as CIOs, we know that technology implementations can be done. Project management, the ability to use the system for the good of the organization and getting the system ready for the organization is really not new. But when we talk about things differently, when we talk about change management, we're talking about getting the organization ready for the system. And believe me, that's a much, much bigger process. It starts with a long haul perspective. Our process started back in October of 2017, and while we officially closed it out in July of 2020, we could even say it's still continuing to this day. If you look at this chart, you'll see there are a lot of green dots. Those are all our change management milestones. They happened a lot and they happened early. The orange dots, quite a bit fewer, are the technical changes, the technical implementations. You're going to see there's a lot fewer of them because we decided to put the emphasis not on the technology, but on getting people to be able to use that technology in a new vision for the organization. I got to tell you, we had a great team, and it was spearheaded by a great project sponsor, the then division administrator, now gubernatorially nominated director of the department, Chris Dorrington, who had a vision for information as the center and the heart of what DEQ does. But you'll also see that our change management team and our technical team were about equal. We didn't place one as greater than the other. And this was a real part of the success of what we did. Throughout this process, you'll learn a lot of lessons that give you a whole bunch more headaches. First of all, you have to learn that you need to ask for help. For me, that came when I asked now retired Esri Hand Natalie Smith, to meet me for a cup of coffee in Helena. And at that point, I asked her, how do I change this organization into a different one? Second, you don't know what you don't know, and change management helps with that. When Sean McGinnis, as part of the Esri envisioning session, told us that there were people who didn't know how to turn on a computer, but who didn't want us to take away their GIS system, that they absolutely needed it to do their job, even though they didn't even know how to turn on their computer, we were shocked. We had to pick ourselves up off the floor, to be honest. Third, you got to know why you're doing it. Do you really want it? Chris Capelli, again from Esri, came and had some wonderful workshops. And at one point, late one night, I asked him, what do you think about DEQ? And in a moment of true honesty, he delivered the gut check moment. He said, you're nowhere, Stephen, and you've got a long road ahead of you. That supercharged us because we realized, as everyone in the public sector does, that our jobs are not about pay or glory. They're about serving the citizens. And what higher calling could we have to make things better than making things better for the people of Montana? Finally, we learned that change is a process. It's not something you do one day and then don't do the next. You're continually doing it. And when we were about ready to go live, Michael Green comes in and says, we need a final push, a good on-ramp to get into your final state that you want to be in. He, of course, is from the Esri Change Management Group, but they were trained by ProSci. We were so captivated by his work that we have started to send our own people to get the same training that Esri gets in change management directly from the leaders in change management, ProSci. You'll see that in halfway through our final change management effort, COVID hit. Now, for most groups, that means put everything on pause as everyone goes home. Instead, all of our work meant that our people were ready for the change. And so while they went home, they cried out that they wanted the new GIS system, and they piled in droves. We now have the entire agency using our GIS system and all of the associated systems that are linked into the GIS system in order to do the work for the people of Montana. Now, there are so many success stories, all of which happen outside of my direct control. I provide technology and a vision, and the entire agency is able to use that technology to execute that vision. I want to share a couple of examples of what that means in just 6 months of the system being truly operational and live. The first is from Chris Stump, a GIS developer who will share how imagery has supercharged our ability to do classic workflows in GIS.
Hi, my name is Chris Stump, GIS developer for Montana DEQ. Shown here is the OpenCut Mining web mapping application, created and configured with no code. Stored inside are verified layers that support the OpenCut Mining program, including their field collected data, specific OpenCut business data, and other agency GIS layers. The OpenCut data in this map is shared to the agency and to the public, and is the result of over 12 years of field mapping, digitizing, and continuous data QA/QC efforts. So, how did we get here? This is the OpenCut inspection verification mapping application used to verify collected data. Only unverified data exists here, with the purpose to be verified by staff and shared to the rest of the agency. Recently, OpenCut staff integrated drones into their field data collection workflows. The green dots represent process flights during site visits and are stored in our geodatabase as one cumulative data set to aid in management and processing efficiencies. Let's go to the Thiessen site as an example. If I can see a disturbed area in the image, which I can here where my mouse is at, I can use the Manage Features widget to map this area of disturbance. Double-click to close. I have to enter in an OpenCut number. It's already designated as a disturbance. I have to change collection status to verified and save my edits. I won't do that in this example because this is live data. But if I did, my edits would be processed throughout the rest of the system and made available to the public and the agency. Another option using this widget is for an already mapped feature. I can select that feature. It's already been assigned an OpenCut number and is listed as a disturbance. Again, for collection status, I would change this to verified and save my edits. I won't do that now. Let's go back to the OpenCut web mapping application and visit the STIPIC site in eastern Montana. Now, what's really interesting about this site is OpenCut staff flew this drone imagery in the background and used that drone imagery to digitize this stockpile and this stockpile here, and large one here, as well as this disturbance area where the mining equipment is, and this large pit here. Now, what this means is that the processed imagery from drone flights enabled OpenCut staff to more quickly and efficiently map sites and process mining permits and amendments. That's all I have for now. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Chris. I now want to turn to Kim Wells of the Waste Management and Remediation Division, who is going to talk about how public engagement has drastically changed, not only with our new GIS system, but with a new way of looking at information.
This past year, GIS staff completed a project that transitioned our legacy GIS to DEQ's new web GIS. With this system in production, we began to consider more and more the value of using Esri applications to engage with the public. Our goals were to provide agency layers to the public that are completed in part or at least finalized through workflows shown to you by my colleague, Chris Stump. We wanted to allow the public to access the data without submitting official requests to the agency. We also wanted to track internally those agency layers that met sharing requirements outlined in the GIS governance policy. So which Esri application should we use? Here are the results. One of our GIS developers assembled the DEQ GIS Business Layer Report using the Esri dashboard application for our internal layer tracking. From the dashboard to hub, welcome to discover DEQ's data site for publicly available layers. We also started testing Hub to support DEQ's public meeting notices using events and public comments by building surveys using Survey 123 and embedding them into the Hub page. The results were positive and warrant further testing. The Abandoned Minelands, or AML program, completed a reclamation project and wanted to celebrate the accomplishment with something more than updating the project webpage with new links to documents, images, and metrics to acknowledge the success of the project that led to protecting Soda Butte Creek that runs into Yellowstone National Park from further metals contamination, the first stream delisting in Montana for metals by the EPA, and the return of cutthroat trout to the reclaimed stream. AML looked to Esri to tell the story of the McLaren Tailings Reclamation Project. This image shows a section of Soda Butte Creek before the reclamation project. This image shows the same section of Soda Butte Creek after the reclamation project. Using Esri applications has allowed the GIS team to demonstrate what else GIS can do and expand how staff and members of the public think about GIS. These applications allow us to provide an enhanced user experience. We continue to look forward to what Esri will provide us in the future. Thank you.
As you can tell, we're really excited about what has happened inside of Montana DEQ. But this requires all of us to transform. For the CIOs, this means that we have to drop our traditional focus on the technology and actually embrace our title, being information officers, helping people and processes connect with the information that is available and use the technology as the bridge. It worked for Montana DEQ. It will work for you. And I can't wait to hear about your success stories next. Thank you.